Our next stop was at Henry Bishop's overgrown small holding outside the house, a house that looked as if it was still in the process of falling on hard times. So did Henry Bishop, who burst from his tumble-down barn, an open shotgun over the crook of his arm, his unshaven face as red and as dirty as the handkerchief round his short, thick neck. His nose might have been mistaken for a giant blackberry. Dregs, I noticed, was staying close to Hobbes. I couldn't blame him. I was keeping pretty close myself. "Get off my land," Henry shouted. "I'll have the law on you." "I am the law, sir," said Hobbes, with what passed for a pleasant smile as he showed his ID. "I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions. I take it that you are Mr. Henry Bishop." Henry glowered. "That I am. Now get on with it. I haven't got all day." "Firstly, do you have a valid certificate for that shotgun?" "What? Of course I do." "May I see it, sir?" "I'm not sure where it is. Somewhere inside, I expect. It may take some time." "We're not in a hurry," said Hobbes, his smile broadening. "I can help you find it." Henry scratched his bald head, frowning in thought for a moment. "I'll get it myself," he said, spitting, slouching away and closing the front door behind him. "I don't think he's pleased to see us," Hobbes remarked as we waited in the shade of a worm-eaten old apple tree. Henry's furious shouting penetrated the door, though I couldn't make out any words. He reappeared, thrusting a plastic wallet into Hobbes's great paw. Hobbes, opening it, nodded. "Thank you, sir. That appears to all be in order, except for the date. This expired 2 years ago. You shouldn't try to amend it with biro. It doesn't work." "Well, I forgot," said Henry, spitting again. "It happens. I'll renew it tomorrow. I never use it anyway." "Very good, sir," said Hobbes, "but I'd better take the shotgun for the time being. I'm sure you don't mind, and it'll stop you from inadvertently breaking the law any further." "Very well." He handed it to Hobbes. "And I'd better take the others." "What others?" "The ones in your cabinet. I really ought to check that too. Do you mind if I take a look inside?" "Yes," growled Henry, his ruddy complexion darkening like an impending storm. "I do mind." "I'm sorry to hear that, sir," said Hobbes, shrugging, pushing open the front door, stepping into the house. With another spit and a curse, Henry followed. Dregs and I looked at each other, agreeing to keep out. Henry Bishop was a nasty piece of work, and both of us were happy to keep our acquaintance with him to the minimum. Mopping the sweat from my forehead with a handkerchief, I lounged against the tree, contemplating lunchtime, thinking of the pleasant little pubs that weren't far away, hoping Hobbes would decide to stop at one or other, relishing the prospect of a nice cold lager and a bite to eat. The sudden commotion inside the house made Dregs bark and retreat and made me quake. The front door jerked open. Henry ran through with a terrified howl. He hadn't gone more than a couple of steps when Hobbes burst out, catching him within a couple of loping strides, seizing his collar and swinging him off his feet. Henry's legs kept moving, his eyes bulging like a rabbit's as Hobbes twisted him round and dropped him. He fell to his knees, but Hobbes lifted him by the lapels on his jacket, shaking him like a duster. "I'm not going to do anything to you now," said Hobbes, speaking slowly and at terrifying volume, his face showing a rage I'd never seen before. "But if it comes to my attention that you ever do anything like that again, I will dismember you. Is that clear?" The front of Henry's trousers darkened, and he moaned as a wet patch spread down his leg.